Good evening and welcome to another episode of Confidence Culture Conversations. I'm one of your hosts, Elizabeth Olujimi, and my co-host is...
Kirabai Kahoot, and we are happy to be here this evening to speak about a very important subject. I think all our subjects that we have been carrying through this last 46 episodes have been important. It's touched many lives, and people who have been very quietly listening have come and said, "Hey, I listened to you guys speak." And that's encouragement. But today we're going to speak about commitment is key. And as we go into this coming into the last month of this year, 2023, and going into 2024, there are a lot of areas that we need to recommit and work with. And especially for those who are having a transition in career, and there's so many people have been laid out,
Mm.
jobs, and people are committing to relationships, marriage, um, businesses. I think commitment is very, very vital. And if we don't commit to ourselves and commit to the cause that we are going to take on, then we tend to lose out a lot.
Absolutely.
Commitment is something, a reminder to ourselves we have been committed to something. Like you and I, we're committed to doing confidence culture conversations every Tuesday. And you know what? We have to give a pat on our backs and say we have done 47 episodes. And commitment is definitely a driving force. It's the petrol for the car that we run. And sometimes we can lose heart and lose our commitment. So today we're going to talk about this to encourage those out there who are going to listen to us. And Elizabeth and I are going to have a little chit chat. Elizabeth, the queen of making your dreams come true, is going to take you through her version, her take on commitment and how to move into your dreams and vision this coming new year, 2024. I think, Elizabeth, that's very important, giving some perspective to commitment and how you're going to drive your dreams and visions for the coming new year. Over to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you know what? If you want anything to work out, you have to be committed to it. You
Mhm.
have to be committed to it. I am a firm believer that your dream requires your commitment.
Mhm.
If you're not going to commit to your dream, don't expect me to commit to it. Let's be real. Let's be real. If you are not going to commit to it, so for example, if you run a business, you have to be committed to making your business work. So you have to be like your biggest cheerleader, the biggest believer in your business.
Mhm. Mhm.
You cannot expect customers to buy into your business if you're not committed to it. So any dream, before that dream becomes a reality, there is a test of commitment. There is a level of commitment that is required from you, and you have to be willing to give that commitment. You have to. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. But when we talk about commitment, we can talk about commitment from various sort of different angles. You mentioned transitions, and it's true. Like, at the end of this year, I'm going to be celebrating 6 years in marriage. And without commitment, we make vows on our wedding days, but we have to commit ourselves to those vows. We have to commit ourselves to what we said we would do, and we have to stick to it. So commitment is like me putting my foot down and saying, I'm here through thick, through thin, I'm going to be here. But you don't just show commitment in your words, you show commitment in your actions. You show commitment in the way you spend your time, in the way you spend your money, in the various different things that are important to you. You show commitment. I remember one time saying to somebody that because you can't make time for this, that means you're not committed to it.
Mhm.
And they were like, oh, that's a bit harsh. I said, no, that's the reality. If you can't make time for it, that means you're not committed to it. That's the truth. Let's be real. because the way you spend your time is going to show me how committed you are to different areas of your life. So commitment is so important.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's the fuel to the car that we're driving. And talking about commitment, last weekend we were at a glow together, and we saw the women so committed to their cause, and it was a
Absolutely.
wonderful place to be. Elizabeth, I thank you for connecting me to a glow. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I saw you enjoying yourself. But
Oh, when you're in the presence of God, you just have to go. Like let go of any hindrance and just flow with what God is doing. And
yeah,
that's what was happening there.
yeah, and committing to a cause like that on a Saturday morning where you want to spend time with your family and little Janaya and me with Robert. It took a little bit of adjusting, but you know what? When we are there together, it was such a power of being together with like-minded women, and they all
Absolutely.
came, and some of them are into this. I mean, Noni has been president, global president for, is it global, what's the title that she goes by?
I think it's global president because she's president over the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, so she's been there for a long, 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 long time, and so much of fire. And I said, oh God, I want to be like her, committed to
Mm,
this cause. And it was wonderful, and we made some new friends, new acquaintances, and it was fun, just
yes, we
fun,
did.
real fun. Yeah. So going back to commitment, I know we were talking about relationships, and I think this day and age, the ingredient, the special ingredient that we really need is committing to a person in a relationship. It's easy to have one night stands here, there, it's easy. But as believers of the faith, we don't do that. We
Mm.
do not do that. And commitment for the younger generation, it seems to be a little of a challenge.
I think I think the spin on there is that in the hard times, the
Mm,
commitment is tested. And
mhm,
some people cannot handle the hard times.
mm,
And so it's like, I'm committed to you as long as things are going well. I remember one time I watched a clip on TikTok, and it was a young lady proudly saying that, she cannot stay with a man if he gets sick.
mm.
And the men in the room were like, "What? So if I was your husband and I fell ill, you would leave me?" She said, "Yeah, I didn't sign up for that." I was like, "Oh, wow." So commitment. What are you committed to?
Well, she's closing her doors to having a good, a firm, and a permanent relationship when she makes a
Mm,
statement like that. Commitment is to thick and thin, and when you have, happy times and sad times, and in sickness and in health, it's a commitment. So this primary ingredient to a relationship can also drip into all your other aspects of life.
it can.
So success, into your success, your work life, your leadership. How do you self lead? Yourself. Your self leadership into your dreams and envision. And if you're going to start a business, and it's going to drip, 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 drip. So before it drips into all the other aspects of life, what what do you think that one needs to do and needs to be aware of to work this commitment? I think we all slack sometimes.
Mm,
There's always that leeway that happens. But you know what? I like what you said. You are your best cheerleader.
you
So
have
what
to be.
so what are the benefits of committing to what you are so passionate about, passionately committing to a cause, passionately committing to a transitional change, a career, in a relationships for the matter. So
Mm,
I think let's talk about, do you think we should start talking about the benefits so people can see, hey, there is lots of benefits in commitment.
mm. I think commitment will help you to finish well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're committed to whether it's a relationship, whether it's a dream, a business, a vision, it helps you to see that through to the end. You know, it helps you to it defines you.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you to understand your priorities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the other day in Kingdompreneurs Network, we were watching a teaching by Bishop Del Brona about priorities and how what we give our time to, what we give our attention to, what we give our money to. You know, and your commitment is going to demand your time.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm committed to a relationship, if I'm committed to a business, I have to give time to it. I have to give, attention to it. I cannot say I'm committed to this thing and I never show up for it.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot say I'm committed to you and yet I never show up when you need me to show up. So commitment requires you to show up. It requires you to be present. I cannot say I'm committed to being the best mother Janaya needs in her life and then I'm not present. I have to be present through the thick and through the thin, through the good times, the bad times, because that's what will happen. Your commitment will be tested when the times get hard. It will be tested.
So you're saying commitment adds value to you?
It can add value to you and to the people around you.
Yes. So well said. Add value, because Elizabeth, you always speak about adding value, you know, and one of the things with adding value, it also builds confidence, and commitment actually builds self-confidence.
Mm,
You have a voice when you committed to a cause. You have a voice that you can stand up and say, that assurance, the communication that you can communicate your beliefs when you are committed to a cause.
mm.
And we need more women to rise up, and even men to rise up for a cause that will define you.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I am thinking of for my coming new year is to, of course, we are building our portfolio with confidence culture conversations, and with that portfolio, I think I would like to relate to something that is close to my heart. But I'm thinking whether I might be overcommitted. But you know what? I have to see, because if I'm speaking and we are speaking together about confidence across the board, then it will be nice to have a cause to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So something that's been playing in my mind, but it only can unfold once certain things are in place, like managing my time in a better way.
Definitely, definitely. I think one of the things that helps when it comes to this conversation around commitment is understanding the reason why. So why do I need to be committed to this project?
Hmm.
Why have I started this project? In John Maxwell's book, Put Your Dream to the Test, I don't think I have a copy here. Put Your Dream to the Test. One of the questions is around commitment. So if you were going to put your dream to the test, if you're going to take a step on your dream, then there has to be a level of commitment. And understanding why that dream is important will help you to be committed to it. Understanding why the relationship is important will help you to stay committed to it. Understanding why your business is important will help you to stay committed to it. So, understanding your why. Why am I here?
Mm.
Why am I connected to this?
Mm.
Why do I need to be invested in this? Understanding that will help drive your commitment. Because when the days when I know why my marriage needs to work, like, I'm going to stand. When the times are hard, when the times are good, I'm going to stand because this marriage must work. So when you have a clear understanding of the why, it helps you to hold on. You know, it's kind of like when we talk about relationship, like our relationship with God, it requires commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he showed us an amazing example of how committed he was to us. God sent his son to die for us at Calvary.
That's right.
Before we could even say, yes, Lord, I love you, you know, he had already paid a price. He showed his commitment. You know, and when they talk about commitment, there's an interesting analogy that is used. And let me see if I get it right. Talking about, I think it's breakfast. And, you know, they talk about like how committed is the pig, the hen, the, you know, all that stuff, because you have eggs and, you know, you've got the bacon. So there's different levels of commitment in that, because like bacon, they're killing it, but the hen, it's still alive. You know, you've still got the eggs. So commitment will cost you.
Yeah.
There is a price that you must pay for the things that you are committed to.
Yes. So true. So true. So true. A price that you have to pay. You have to sometimes lay your life down in relationships.
That's it.
Sounds challenging, laying your life down. But you know, I like the analogy that you said about the bacon and the eggs.
I didn't quote it correctly, but like, it's out there. It's out there. Someone can Google it and find out.
And no, about Christ laying his life down for us. I think
Mm.
that's the best example of committing to mankind, committing to mankind. And so with a level of commitment, I think level of commitment grows firstly in a relationship, as
Mm.
and also in our business. When we see business, when we see our dreams unfolding, then as it grows, the commitment has to increase as it grows. So it's a growing reality. You know, when you start, sometimes people work very hard, and when it comes to a pivotal position, then you know they take it easy. But you know, one of the things is, of course, we like to quote John Maxwell's, because he is our mentor, and we are both trained. We are members of John Maxwell's team. So one of the things he says he never relents. He never
Mm.
relents, because he's go, 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 because he knows there is a purpose and a destiny and an assignment over his life that he needs to fulfill. So all of us have an assignment. And as Elizabeth says, we need to know the why.
Mm.
So for those who are out there, you do not know why you exist, you're in the right place. You need to know purpose.
Mm.
You need to know destiny. You need to know your calling. If you do not have all these three things lined up, you're not able to commit,
That's it.
and you're not able to be fulfilled in your commitment.
Mm.
Fulfillment is very, very important. Contentment and fulfillment. You know, you can all the time thrive, strive, strive, strive. But if you're in your area of commitment where you're in the wrong place, then you will never get fulfillment. Someone
Absolutely.
needs to listen to this.
Mm.
Someone needs to listen to this, because we can keep running and looking for the next best thing that's happening on the billboard, but it might not be the thing that's suited for you.
No, you're right. And you know what? As you were speaking, you reminded me of something. And this was, I think it was on Saturday when Noni was speaking,
Mm-hmm.
and she mentioned she mentioned something which really stayed with me, and it was on the lines of, you cannot handle glory if you cannot handle bad times. If you cannot
Oh,
handle the
yes.
difficult times, you cannot handle God's glory.
Mm-hmm.
And she mentioned times where family members passed away,
Mm-hmm.
and yet she was still committed to God. She was still committed to purpose. She was still committed to what God has called her to do. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, like, hardships will test our commitment. But when we are able to still stand the test of hardships and still be committed to the things that we said we would be committed to, then it makes the difference. Because it's easy to walk away when things get tough. It's easy to walk away when things are not working the way that we wanted them to work. Now, it's like when you look at business, there's a lot of businesses that fail within the first year because they face so many challenges, and you really have to ask yourself, am I really committed to this? Can I handle this? And if not, you sort of just let it pass, and you step away, and you move on to the next thing. But difficulties will test your commitment. Hardships will test your commitment. When things are not going the way that you want them to go, it will test your commitment. But you have to stay strong in the midst of the hardships. And this is where resilience also comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
When we are committed, our resilience shows and our resilience grows. Because when you're being resilient, you're saying, even though things hit rock bottom, I'm going to bounce back. That's commitment. I'm committed to this, so I'm going to bounce back.
During COVID, a lot of people were laid off,
Mm,
and lots and lots of people were discouraged, and lots of business failed.
mm,
But yet, on the flip of the coin, a lot of coaches and mentors were thriving
mm.
because that was a place where lots of stuff could be done on the
Online.
computers online, and they were thriving. But yet,
Mm,
on the other side, people were losing jobs left, right, and centers. Business were closing. Flagships of businesses that were running years and years on end, they were, something that was established in these countries, were closing down. you know there is a place, some of these flagship shops, they were, downsizing. And I would say that they were not committed to their staff.
mm,
Because they were thinking of the profit, the P&L, the profit and loss, and they were laying off people, and it was very sad. Some of these workers, some of these employees were there for 50, 60 years.
wow.
And yet there were companies that they were true to their word
Mm,
because they were committed to their employees. And one of them were Chick-fil-A. They were committed.
mm,
So another company was actually John Lewis. And these things, it is commendable. In the hard times, they carried their people through
that's good.
because they were committed to them.
Mm,
So it's a very big word, Elizabeth. It is something that we have to mull about and chew on it like cows, chew on it, because in small little areas, you can see how our commitment uh, is to
yeah.
friends, to family, to our work, in the details. in the details of things. And it's very important. It's very, very important.
I was just thinking, just even commitment to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
When we talk about self leadership and being able to lead yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but looking at commitment, like how committed am I to myself? Yesterday was International Men's Day, so to all the men out there, we celebrate you. It was on
Celebrate.
Sunday, International Men's Day.
Oh,
So
Sunday, yeah, yeah.
for the men out there, we love you, we hear you, we're here for you. Let us know how we can support you with the things that you're going through, because being committed to yourself means you're committed to your personal well-being, means you're committed to looking after you. So yes, I might be committed to my family, I might be committed to my relationship, to my children, but am I committed to me? And I think a lot of us, we fail on that bit. We can be so heavily committed to others, but not committed to ourselves. We can be in positions where we are telling other people, this is your dream, pursue your dream, go for it, encouraging them. When it comes to our own dreams, we're so scared. We don't want to step out on them because of what people will say, because of what people think, because we're going to fail. We're not committed to our own dreams, yet we are committed to supporting other people as they fulfill their dreams. And I think that's a that's a huge issue in the times that we live in. I remember one time having a conversation with a young lady, and she said how she was committed, she was giving time, she was giving money, she was giving everything to help a friend with the business that this friend was doing. And the business was struggling. It was struggling. But she was still committed. She was still showing up. She was still present to help. And I said to her, I said, what about the thing that God has called you to do? What's happening with that? Said, oh, oh no, I can't step out and do that, And I said to her, I said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. You don't love yourself.
Mm.
Because you are not committed to yourself. You're not committed to taking a step on your dream. You're not committed to believing that this dream can become a reality and stepping out and doing it, or even the purpose that God has placed in your hands. You're not committed to it. And yet you are here complaining about how many hours and how much money you're giving towards someone else's dream. So we can be so committed to other people and we're not committed to ourselves. Some of us, our health is suffering because we're busy pouring out into others. We're not pouring out into ourselves. We're busy being there for so many people, but we're not there for ourselves. We're never taking time, me time to sit back, reflect, time to just go on a spa, look after yourself, time out, go journaling, go for a nice walk. You're always, this person needs help, that person needs help. What is your level of commitment to you?
Got to be a little selfish, no?
But it's not even being selfish. Because when I'm more committed to me, I can be committed in a healthy manner to other things. If I can commit to looking after me, I can bring healthy commitment to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna.
That's a good spin. That is a good spin to commitment, because I think most of the time it's, we are so focused on others that we forget to take care of ourselves. I have been listening to my favorite guy, Lance Wallnau, and he's coming up with a very big wellness conference for men of God, people in ministry, and leaders in ministry. And I was I think, what is this guy doing? Something so different from what he does normally. But you know what? It got me thinking. He says, because of the assignment that is over our lives, the enemy is out to get us.
Yeah.
And if we don't take care of ourselves, we shouldn't give a loophole to the enemy to attack us in our areas of health. And it's the same thing I thought when we were sitting at Women's Aglow on Saturday. The ladies were quite matured, elderly, but you can see some of them are struggling with health issues and the movements and all. And you know what? That's the area you need to be selfish. You need to take care of yourself because you have a race to run before you.
Absolutely.
And that means committing to yourself.
Mm.
And it got me thinking, Elizabeth, because you know what? I personally am struggling with certain things. And I have to make that a priority.
Mm.
And that's because it's years of maybe not eating properly or eating the wrong food, moving from one country to the other, aches, pains, and all these things. And I put my hands, I own it. I own this problem. I have to be very conscientious about how I lead myself in this area.
Mm.
So, for those out there who are running the race together with us, take care of your health. Commit to your health.
Mm.
And be responsible because we only have one body.
Very true. Very true.
We can't change spare parts. Nowadays, people can change spare parts. But you know what? Let's keep to the original.
Your health is your wealth.
Yes.
That's a statement that I'm borrowing from the people that say it. but it's very true. Like when we have that conversation of self-care, one of the things I say to people in my self-care workshops is self-care is important because you are important. That's why self-care is important, because you are important. So let's not just be committed to other people. Let's be committed to ourselves too. Like, can you sit and tell yourself that I gave it my best shot? Like I can you the Bible talks about like that we should, love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And yet sometimes we're so easy to love others and we don't love ourselves. There's so many people out there who are struggling to love themselves. And it might be because of things people have said to them in times past. They don't really love themselves. They don't value themselves. They value others, or at least they act like they value others. They value other people's opinions, but they don't want to, like, they don't value themselves. They don't think their voice is important. They don't think their dreams are important. They don't think their feelings are important. That's part of being committed to yourself, is understanding that I am also important. What I say also matters. Yes, we've been called to serve, to love, but we must also understand that we need to be able to love ourselves. Otherwise, what are we pouring out of? What are we giving? What are we feeding others?
Like pouring out of an empty cup.
That's it. Yesterday, I was briefly watching this Nigerian film, and and this woman, she was like the meanest woman ever. Ooh. But she loved to pray. I don't know how the two mix, but she was so mean. So like when she's speaking to her daughter, she'd be so nice, and when she's speaking to her husband, she'd be so harsh.
Oh dear.
To the point that the husband said, I want out of this marriage. But she didn't realize that she was the issue, like she was the problem, because she was not taking time to reflect on herself. She was not taking time to, even when things were said to her, she would see it from a different lens, and she would throw a fit. So Being committed to ourselves means committing to personal development, committing to being a person of good character, committing to being a person of integrity, committing to being a person who is healthy, a person who looks after themselves.
Trustworthy.
Trustworthy.
Well, I like the word integrity. It's commitment is showing self-respect and building the character and nature that one needs, because life can be hard and harsh, and we as human beings, we always tend to be finding fault with others. If something happens to us, we think, oh, it's the fault of someone else, but we could
Yeah.
be the biggest roadblock in our lives.
Mm.
I like that self-development. So you develop yourself spiritually, mentally, and physically to be the person God has created you to be,
Mm.
you and I to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So commitment is key for this end of the year. Take time. I know festivities and celebrations, we forget everything else, but take some time out. Take some time out and celebrate the goodness of God this whole year. He has been good to you. But as you enter the new year, 2024, it's going to be a very good year. Glory arising upon us. And also the challenges will come. But so we have to be prepared for what shall I say? We have to be prepared for um, the war that's coming ahead of us, because it's definitely is going to be tougher times ahead of us.
Mm.
So take time. And that's my last sentence for the day today, Elizabeth.
And as you're saying that, I think for me the thing that's sort of being highlighted in my mind is, what are the things you're going to commit to in 2024? Like, now is a good time to sit down and start deciding, what am I going to be committed to in 2024? What are my priorities going to be for 2024? What am I going to give my time to? What am I going to give my attention to? What am I going to, give my finances to? Where is your commitment going to be in 2024? Because if you commit to so many things, and this is maybe talking more about like committing your time, you will not be as effective. But when you narrow down the things that you're committed to, you can be more effective in those things. So don't try to chase 20 things. Narrow it down, 3 things, 4 things. In a few weeks, on 9th of December, we're coming together in the Kingdompreneurs Network to work on our vision boards. The things that we want to commit to for 2024. So, if you're out there and you want to join us, put a comment. We'll send you the details. We'll send you the link so you can register and come and join us. You get to meet us, hang out with us, and some other amazing kingdompreneurs. But really, like, what's your commitment going to look like? Commitment to self, commitment to family, commitment to relationship, commitment to, so looking at being a better version of yourself, commitment to God. What do you need to do to make sure that that commitment is where it needs to be? Commitment in your marriage. Have you been, avoiding dates? Like, do you need to start going to dates more? Like what is it that you need to add to where things are at to show that, yes, I am committed? To your children, do you need to dedicate more time? Less screen time, more face-to-face time, more conversational time, more playing together time. My daughter is in a phase where she's just like, mommy hug, every 5 minutes, mommy hug. I'm like, Jediah, like, I've hugged you enough. Like, she said, but mommy, I want a hug. I'm like, oh my days. I went on Google the other day. I was like, why is my child asking for so many hugs every 2 minutes? Because she's asking hug after hug after hug. I'm like, okay, Janaya, right now I'm doing something. Let me finish doing this and then I'll give you a hug. but like commitment. What's my commitment to her? Because that's going to show in the way I react to her when she asks for something, in the way I spend time with her. It's going to show. Your business, your work. Some of us, we just go to work because it's paying the bills. So our commitment is not necessarily there. Like we're just there for the money and that's it. I remember when I started a job working in a bank, and I was working in the customer services on the phone, and it was a case of you just come in, you log in, you do your job, you log out, you go home. And I started challenging myself. Like I have to be more committed to this. It has to be more than just earning some little money, because I'm giving my time to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be bigger than that. So I started looking for avenues to develop myself within customer services, because I was committed to me as well. Like I was giving my time to this. So I have to grow while I'm here.
Something more to learn, you know?
It was more, yeah. So whatever you're committed to, how can you grow in that area? Because commitment grows us. If it doesn't grow us, it will demand for us to grow. The way I committed to my business when it started to the way I'm committing to it when it's 10 years time, the commitment, yes, will still be 100%, but it shows in different ways because it's evolving. Change is happening. So what are you going to be committed to as 2024 is coming? As we're saying goodbye to 2023, what are you going to put on that vision board? For yourself? Remember, because there's circles of influence that you need to think about. But check your commitment, because your commitment will determine success.
Yes.
I better.
Yeah, I think we have said enough, shared enough, and it's time to say goodbye and see you guys next week.
Have a lovely evening. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in to